Hello, it's me, Snoozles, the snuggle hound, your bedtime pal, who loves to tell stories and sing a little song or two, and then fall asleep next to a friend just like you. And that's what I'd been doing all morning, taking a long nap on the big soft rug in front of the fireplace in our family's home. But I was awake now and all by myself. The kids that I live with, Danny and Sarah, were at school, and their parents had gone to work, so it would be up to me to find something to do, to have some fun. Maybe go outside into the big forest that's right behind our house. I like to think of it as my own magical forest where I can run around to my heart's content and chase anything that wants to play with me. Yes, that's where I was going right now, out my back door, across the yard, through the gate, then into the thick grass that grows everywhere in my magical forest. The sun was hot on my back until I walked into the shade of the tall trees with their green leaves shaking in the wind. Before long, the trees were all around me, like a giant umbrella high above my head. But every now and then I could see the blue sky through the branches and feel the sunlight shining down on me. There were bright green plants of all shapes and sizes, growing everywhere, and big, thick bushes. I kept walking further into the forest with that warm breeze blowing across my face, feeling the grass tickle my feet with every step. Then, all of a sudden, I heard something off to one side of me. A little animal running through the grass. It was a squirrel, a golden brown squirrel with a long, fluffy tail. A tail that was almost as big as the squirrel itself. It smiled at me as it ran by, and I knew right then and there that I had to chase it. So I took off running, bouncing through the tall grass, jumping over branches that had fallen from the trees, and zigzagging around the bushes whenever they got in my way. The wind rushed past my ears, and my tail was wagging furiously. I ran faster and faster until that fluffy brown squirrel was right in front of me. Then he suddenly jumped up onto a tree and ran straight up to the top of it. Well, I suppose our little race was over because I couldn't do that. Dogs aren't very good at climbing trees. I hoped that squirrel wasn't afraid of me. I wasn't going to hurt it. I just wanted to play. I watched it run along the branches. Then it jumped onto another tree and another. That looked like fun, and I was wishing I could do that as I sat down and caught my breath. I seemed to be all alone again. Or was I? Can you hear that sound? That little chirping sound? There were crickets in the bushes, small insects that you couldn't see unless you really looked hard. But it seemed like they were always there if you listened. Then I heard a buzzing sound coming from the tree. There were bees busy at work, flying around their hive. That's what bees call their home, a hive. And they make honey in there. I could smell it right now, that sweet honey, like Danny and Sarah would put on their toast in the morning when they ate their breakfast. One time I got a little too close to their hive, and they began chasing me. And bees can sting, you know. I learned my lesson not to do that again. But they don't mind if you just sit quietly nearby. In fact, I think they might even like having someone watching them as they go about their business of making honey in their hive. So that's what I did. I decided to lie down on my tummy and just watch those bees circle around their hive. And then I began to feel sleepy. I rolled over onto my back, looking up at the trees and the blue sky. And that's when I heard this strange sound, like a car honking its horn. But there were no cars here in the forest. Then I saw the flock of birds, big birds flying high above the trees. They were doing the honking. That's the sound that geese make. There could have been 100 of them up there, flying together in formation, like the shape of a V. Do you know what the letter V looks like? It looks kind of like an ice cream cone. And that's how the birds were flying, right next to each other, in the shape of an ice cream cone. A minute later, they were almost out of sight, and the sound of their honking was fading away. And I closed my eyes and tried to imagine what it would look like to fly in that formation, to be part of that flock of birds. And then I began to dream about it. Suddenly I was up in the sky, flying right next to them. I was so high above the trees now, but I wasn't even scared. It was exciting and fun. And when I looked to my left and then to my right, I could see that I had big, strong wings, and I was flapping them up and down to take me higher. They could take me wherever I wanted to go, but I stayed in formation with the geese, flying beside them. It was almost like we were all one big bird. Sometimes we would just hold our wings still and glide along on the warm breeze. We were flying over mountaintops now, where the trees had leaves of many colors. Some were still green, but others were bright red and orange, and some had turned to the color of gold. What is that I hear now? It's like a whistle. Someone was whistling a beautiful tune. I was no longer flying. I was waking up, and when I opened my eyes and looked up at the branches, I saw the prettiest little bird with feathers that were bright blue, and it was looking back down at me. I said, "What kind of bird are you?" "I'm a blue jay, and my name is Priscilla. And I've been sitting here for nearly an hour, making up songs and watching you sleeping so peacefully. And who might you be?" I told her my name, and then she began to whistle some more. It was music to my ears. Finally I said, "How do you do that?" "I'm just whistling," said Priscilla. Then I said, "Well, I've heard people whistle before, but never like that." "I'm a songbird," she said, "and this is what I do all day long." It's quite simple, really. Just put your lips close together and blow softly like this. I gave it a try, but nothing happened. So I began blowing harder until I was red in the face. This was harder than it looked, and I was thinking, perhaps a dog wasn't meant to whistle. Priscilla said, I don't think so, Snoozles, not today. But keep practicing and maybe one day. Okay, I said, how about this? I'll sing while you whistle, and maybe we can make music together. She nodded her head, yes, and then whistled like this. And I sang her song like this. I like to sing the things I hear. The wind will whisper in my ear. And when you make your melody, your music makes the words for me. I like to sing the things I hear. The wind will whisper in my ear. And when you make your melody, your music makes the words for me. I wanted to sing it again, but there were more blue jays flying through the trees, and Priscilla said, That's my mother calling me, and I have to go now. Farewell, Snoozles, the snuggle hound. She flapped her little wings and flew away with the other birds. As I called out, I'll practice my whistling, and I'll show you next time. I was sure that we'd see each other again. Snoozles, where are you? Come here, boy. The voice came from far away, but dogs have very good hearing. Did you know that? We can hear things that most people can't even hear. Come on, Snoozles, come here, boy. That was Danny's voice calling for me. My goodness, where had the time gone? He was already home from school. I turned and ran as fast as I could, back to the edge of the forest where I could see our house. And I could see Danny standing in the backyard waiting for me. I was excited to see him, of course, but this also meant it was time for my snack, which started my tail wagging back and forth. That's how you know when a dog is excited, because his tail starts moving up and down and all around. He said, I missed you today, Snoozles, and I've got something for you right here in my backpack. Yes, I knew it, and I began licking my lips with anticipation as he pulled out a big, juicy bone and threw it across the yard. It whizzed through the air, but I could move pretty fast when I was hungry, and I caught the bone in my mouth before it even hit the ground. Oh, this was heavenly, rolling around in the grass with a big, juicy bone in my mouth. Danny went back inside the house, and after a while I closed my eyes and began to get sleepy again, thinking about all the fun I had today, roaming around in my magical forest and making new friends. I'm going to dream some more about them right now and think about the song that I sang with Priscilla. And I hope you have sweet dreams too. I'll see you soon. I like to sing the